This is IAQ Radio, Indoor Air Quality Radio, the voice of the indoor air quality industry, with your hosts, Radio Joe Hughes and the Z-Man, Cliff Zlotnick. And now, Radio Joe Hughes.
Good day and welcome to IAQ Radio Plus, episode 721. This week, we welcome Lisa Rogers, Jeremy Beagle, Eric Shapiro, and Sarah Fanger for an industry update with the IAQA leadership team. Before we get started, let's thank our sponsors. They're the reason we can continue doing the show. And a shout out to our newest sponsor, BioPlanet, where health and technology meet at byoplanet.com. IAQ Radio Association sponsors are AIHA, the American Industrial Hygiene Association, at aiha.org. IICRC, the Institute for Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration Certification, at iicrc.org. The Restoration Industry Association, RIA, at restorationindustry.org. The Environmental Information Association, EIA, at eia-usa.org. IAQ Radio industry sponsors are Particles Plus at particlesplus.com, BioPlanet at byoplanet.com.
And now you can win a cool prize. It's time for the IAQ Radio Trivia question. Be the first to correctly answer. Simply email your answer to czlotnick at cs.com. Or if listening live, just text your answer from your computer. And now, here's the Z-Man.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry to report no one answered last week's trivia question, and I apologize because it was my fault. Due to the high volume and active audience interest, I was multitasking and was unable to post the trivia question into the chat. The multi-part trivia question was based on the Davis-Bacon Act. Here's today's IAQ Radio trivia question. Name the late American writer who married on this day in the state of New York. Back to you, Joe.
All right, so we've got Lisa Rogers. She has served as the president of Mycometer Inc., the U.S. subsidiary of a Danish-based firm since 2007, and she is the current president of the Indoor Air Quality Association. Jeremy Beagle, CIH, is a senior principal scientist at SD2 Global Inc. He is the current vice president of the Indoor Air Quality, I think first vice president, actually. And Eric Shapiro runs his own company, Indoor Air Quality Services, in Florida and New Jersey. He's the current treasurer of the Indoor Air Quality Association. And last but not least, Sarah Fanger, who worked in the nonprofit associations as a meeting and event planner for over a decade. She's a certified association executive who also has years of experience in disaster restoration and IAQ consulting. Sarah is the current executive director of the Indoor Air Quality Association. All right, let's start with Lisa. Lisa, membership was sent a memo late last year that IAQA was filing for bankruptcy and leaving their management company. How about a little update for our audience? Where is the association now? Are we still dealing with the bankruptcy thing? And what's the future look like?
Sure. So I need to unmute myself.
Nope, you're good.
Sorry about that. So we're knee-deep in reorganization for the IAQA. We have a lot of different fires we're putting out right now and putting the organization back together. But we have very successfully petitioned the court, and we are on our way to rebuilding, redefining ourselves and becoming whole again.
When you say redefining, what's the mission now?
Well, the mission always has been about our members, but I feel like, and the board feels like, that in the past we haven't done as much as we would have liked to, and we were our goals for last year and the goals that continue to be this year is to support our membership, engage with our membership, and reinvest in our membership. And with this reorganization, we will have a lot more opportunity for that reinvestment.
And Jeremy, let's jump over to Jeremy for a minute. You're the first vice president. I assume that means you'll be the next president, but I guess you can never say that for certain. How has this affected membership? As membership stayed, have they kind of stuck behind IAQA?
Yeah, so far who we've been able to hear hear from. Everybody's actually is supporting us. We're just looking for what's going on and how they can help. We've actually had even a lot of folks that haven't really been involved in some years that are reaching out to do whatever they can do to help. But so far, everybody that I've talked to, it's been positive. We're just trying to send a message of the reorganization and what we're trying to do. But so far, so good.
And let's
I
go.
think a lot.
Go ahead, Cliff.
Well, now I was just going to say, I think that a lot of organizations are having the same struggles. Like today, you can get all this information on the internet, and it doesn't matter what group it is, what nonprofit. I think every one of them is really having challenges. Whether it's the Lions, the Kiwanis, any of these groups. I think it's pretty common. Okay, Joe.
Let's go to Eric Shapiro. Eric, you're the treasurer of the Indoor Air Quality Association, and I'm curious, how do we look financially? Is things going to be okay?
Definitely. We're looking pretty good now. As Lisa said, the attorneys have got our past association on notice, so that's moving along. So we are, and we did this at the right time. And we just felt it necessary to bring control back in-house and take more hands-on of the direction of the organization. So and that's what we did. So I'm actually very happy about what we did and where we're going.
And I'd just like to add, because I have had this question from some members, is that it's important that our membership knows, and everyone knows, that we're continuing to collect dues. All of the dues are in IAQA's possession. Those dues are the foundation of how we're going to rebuild. They're the dues. Your dues are actually how we're being able to reinvest in the conference for this year. And but that money is in our possession. And I think I just want to reassure everyone that, your dues will go to this membership and engaging their benefit.
And let's introduce our audience to Sarah Fanger. I know you, Sarah, from the Healthy Building Summit, but you're a little new to our audience here, and you're the new executive director. You must be pretty confident in yourself to jump into the fire that you've jumped into here. How's the reaction from membership been to your new position as executive director?
Yeah, I've had some folks ask me if that's what I really want to do, and it was really, really what I wanted to do. So I know I have a unique combination of experience with my background in association management and also in IAQ. So I don't think there's anybody else who really has that combination. So when I had the opportunity to use my skills to help my association, I really didn't hesitate.
And your past experience as a certified association executive, what types of associations did you work for?
Well, I spent a number of years at my local state optometric association. I also worked for an international association that was in the manufacturing industry in metals and materials. I've also been a member of many associations. So associations have been a part of my life since I was in college.
And where are the headquarters now?
The headquarters, because I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio, that's where the headquarters are now.
Okay, great. And Lisa, let me go back to you. I noticed on the website, the only thing currently on there is information about the conference, which is great. I didn't notice anything on education or chapters, etc. What will IAQA be doing to get back in the education business if that is part of the plan?
Absolutely. And that's one of our pillars of our organization, has been education for the history of our organization. We're rebuilding that website from the ground up. We have been slowly being able to get access and regain access to some of our platform data. There still are some challenges in that, I'll be honest. Right now, we've been focused on being able to empower our website to collect dues. We've had to switch that around. and also to get the information for the conference up and registration and those kinds of things. So that, because our timeline is a little bit short there, but education is a very important aspect, and we're still working on getting access to that data right now.
Okay. And I noticed in the chat, Sarah, you may want to do a private response to Brooke. I was able to get on the website the other day, actually yesterday, and it had the conference information, but you may want to respond to Brooke. And also, if you want to give us a phone number for people like Brooke who are interested in rejoining, paying their dues, and coming to the conference in Ponte Verde.
Absolutely. So as of last night, there is now a live link to register for the conference on our website. Just go to the annual meeting page of the website, and it's right there at the top. There's also a phone number that anyone can call if they want to reach me at the office, and that number is 877-878-4272. That's 877-878-IAQA. I'll put that in the chat also. And hopefully I'm hoping by the end of today, there will be a link online to pay dues. There's been some technical difficulties on the back end there, but if you go to register for the conference, there is also an option in the conference registration to pay your individual member dues right there.
Gotcha. Let me go back to the education programs. I don't know who wants to speak to this, but is it going to be similar to what you've had in the past? It's going to be mostly online training, or are you going to do some more live training? Are there any plans that you can let our audience know about?
At this point, we are planning on, it depends on all the recovery, I'll be honest, the data that we can recover. But we do plan to have live training events as well as some online events. It's just, I really can't speak to what that's going to look like completely at this point in time. We should have a better idea of that, probably in the next quarter.
Okay. And what about the chapters? I mean, I didn't notice anything on the chapters on the website. And I don't remember whether they were kind of like individual, with their own, bank accounts and so on and so forth. Is that, maybe somebody could tell us a little bit more about what's going on with the chapters? I
can speak to that too. Not that I want to dominate the whole conversation here, but so last year, that was one of our big focus, our push to the board was to focus on revamping the chapter program and bringing the chapters closer to the IAQA national and internationally. But also to be able to provide some more admin support. That mission is still in play. It just had to refocus some of our priorities right now, and through the conference that we'll probably have to keep that on hold. But as soon as the conference is over, that will be the next big challenge for us to get those chapters up and going and working. And that will be with the administrative support of the IAQA.
Okay. And with respect to hiring Sarah as your executive director, I've always felt like, having your own executive director was the way to go. It worked for many years for IAQA in the past. Unfortunately, had some glitches with that, with the person that was in charge of that for many years. He did a great job for many years, and then things kind of fell apart, unfortunately. And then you went to several different so we went to ASHRAE, went to another association management group. What led to the hiring of someone like Sarah? And is that going to be the future of IAQA? We're going to have our own executive director. You're going to be your own group. You're not going to be using a management company.
That's correct. We have decided we feel like it was very important during this reorganization to bring the administration of the association in-house, where we have the staff and will be invested in and dedicated to this organization full-time. I think that brings more value to the members. It brings a lot more value to the board. It's just it's been night and day since we've had Sarah on board. I'll be honest. It was the best decision. It was the right person at the right time. And it's been seamless with her integrating into the organization. And I can't say enough good things about her at this point.
I want to turn over to
Thanks.
let's turn it over to Jeremy for a minute. Jeremy, you have been involved with IAQA for quite a while now, but you've also been involved with other groups, and I'm wondering what's been your impression of how things are going here. I mean, you're obviously in line to, you're first vice president. You may well be president someday. Where do you see the future of the organization?
Yeah, I think it gives us this opportunity, this grassroots campaign to reorganize. And you actually said it before, Joe, there's been history of, things not working out, and now it's an opportunity for us to start over and do it from within. And then see how that goes. And I think it will. And it's also engaging membership as well. We really need people to volunteer and get a part of this, to rebuild education, to grow chapters. And I think now we have that opportunities, and as the board stays strong, that's where it's going to take us.
Joe, if I might segue, also I've been around associations for a long time and been a member of RIA for like Pete, 50 plus years. And that organization, when we first joined, they did administration in-house. Then they went, hired different executives and so on and so forth. And even serving on the board and being a past president, one of the things that I think happens in these situations is there could be a tension between the board of directors and the executive director. And sometimes if you have a strong board and you have a strong-willed executive director, they can kind of butt heads a little bit. So I think oftentimes, it's better to have, a strong board and a less aggressive executive director than it is to have that tension. But I think, RIA, been both ways, and, they tried it both ways. And I think they've had success both ways. But I think things change over time. People change over time. The market changes over time. Your members change over time. And, for you guys, it was about time. So.
Yeah. And I think too, this does, it gives us, unfortunately, this is obviously a path we don't want to take, but
there's some,
it gives us a chance to not so much start over, but make a new imprint on the association. And sometimes you might get stagnant in what you're doing. So the challenge is now set forth to do it differently and do it better.
And
Eric,
go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, to what and Jeremy and what you brought up. I may not have been on as many boards as some people here, but the membership should know we've got an unbelievable board of directors. And I mean, no politics involved. Listen, as everybody knows, nobody gets compensated. We really have great people that get along with everybody. We all get along with Sarah. There's been no tension, and everybody pitches in. It's been absolutely a pleasure to deal with everybody on the board. So that's one of the best I've ever seen, truly.
And Eric,
I want to echo that also. That moving as the new person in this organization, I haven't had any issues. But Cliff, to your point, I think it's important for your board and your executive director to understand what their roles are in an organization, and they're not the same. And I do understand the role of the executive director is to implement, the role of the board is to lead.
And let me go back to Eric for a moment. Eric, you're the treasurer. Can you give us some idea of are you going to make it? I mean, it's tough financially. Coming out, you're in a bankruptcy. You're trying to work your way back through that. How do things look?
Listen, I'm comfortable right now. I tell you that what we did, I think, puts us in a better position in the very near future than if we stayed where we were and we didn't make the move and do it on our own. So that was going to be a no-win situation, and we had to make changes. We had to bring it back on our control. And there's no need to go into issues that we had. There's still litigation going on, but it's like free at last. And we control our own destiny now. And with the great support and feedback we've gotten from members, it's like a rejuvenation of people wanting to be involved. And but really, we're in a better position being on our own right now than if we didn't do this and we stayed where we were. So we're definitely, and as Lisa said, dues are coming in, everything's going. We're able to count the pennies. Sarah has a great handle on that. So there's not a lot of waste that we don't find out about after the fact. So the ship's being run pretty tight right now, which is really a good thing.
I also probably want to just say that through this whole process, this was a really difficult thing that the board went through this last year. And the decision that we came to was not made quickly or lightly. There was a lot of discussion that went on. And I will also say, I think it's important that members know that every single person on the board was in agreement. There was never any controversy. We were all on the same page the entire time, and we exhausted every avenue before we had to make this decision. But since the decision has been made, it is the best. It has been just the best and very smooth. So we made the right decision.
I don't know who the resident historian is there, but I know I've been a member of IAQA since about 2000. And I think the association, I know they were around before then. Does anybody know the year that IAQA started?
1995.
Okay, great. And you were around then, huh, Lisa?
Unfortunately, yeah, I have to admit.
Fortunately, yes. Fortunately,
yeah,
yes.
I'm one of the original members.
Yeah, she was in high school then.
I was calling.
Well, you know, as someone who's been around over the years, we've seen our ups and downs, and I think it was interesting the last 3 or 4 years. There's a lot more interest in indoor air quality. It seems like this would be a great time for IAQA to grow itself and expand and help people with the need for better indoor air quality.
Absolutely. And I guess we also plan, one of our other goals is to be also a resource for the public and to get information out there so that there's not a lot of misinformation being consumed by the public. So that's another one of our missions.
You know, I think in general, it's you know, from my experience and my observations, and I'd like to get your opinions as well. It seems that, you know, back in the 90s, mold was the thing. It was the big thing. It was like all we talked about and so on and so forth. And it just seems that, you know, perhaps it's not as big as it used to be. Perhaps the public is less interested, you know, than it used to be. Perhaps we've gotten over it. You know, I think certain things have changed in terms of, you know, when it first started, take all these tests, and now, you know, we're doing less testing, and, you know, so what do you think? Do you think the market has changed significantly?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think there's. So maybe in a state of Florida where we have a lot more maybe mold problems, it might still be a little bit prevalent, but no, I think that, like you said, even with COVID, there's just everybody has more open mind to their general health. Mm-hmm. You know, there's big pushes for ventilation. There's big pushes for cleanliness and towards infectious disease and things like that. So, yeah, I think that's one of the unique things.
So either end of February or beginning of March.
You know,
last week in February.
We're consultants, we're contractors, we're laboratories, we're academia, and I think that's where we can really be a resource. And moving beyond mold. Mold's always going to be there. There are, you know, new avenues in that with mycotoxins and things of that nature. But, you know, indoor air quality is always going to be something with wildfires. That's becoming more and more something unique, even just beyond infectious disease and things like that.
Well, and I think we have the opportunity to stay ahead of that, stay ahead of the industry, and also bring these new concepts into the industry, whether it be instrumentation, whether it be new impacts on indoor air quality. And there's a whole climate change. It's going to have a huge impact on our buildings and the quality of the air in the buildings as well as outside the buildings. And we'll need to be addressing all of those issues and just staying ahead of the ahead of the industry.
Do you do it?
Go ahead, Cliff.
I was just wondering, what sort of involvement do you have, with government? Do you do anything with government at all?
We have in the past had a legislative platform on our website. Again, it's one of those pieces of the website we haven't been able to recover at this point. But we hope to regain access to that and to be able to have that legislative platform as a resource.
Joe?
We're also thinking about putting up a library of documents from our history within the organization, but also documents, peer-reviewed papers, things that we think are important, links to organizations that are doing standardization that are important, that kind of thing. So we hope to have a better use of our website than we have in the past.
I'd just like to get Eric's thoughts on the changing industry. I mean, I know you've done a lot of mold in the past, and you also do disaster restoration. You've done HVAC cleaning. What are you seeing in your practice?
I'm seeing really at the consumer level a different kind of engagement. It's not standalone, like there's a mold issue or a water issue. I'm a member of a gym. You go to the health food store. I really see more people that are a little more concerned about, in general, a healthier lifestyle. And this is integrated in. It doesn't necessarily stand alone. So if I'm doing like any social media or post, go back to, you and I did work many years ago with IAQA for the Healthy Homes program and everything. And I'm seeing a little bit of interest back in that direction again, a more holistic overall approach, not just it's a mold issue, it's a this, it's a that. It's an overall, and believe it or not, and people I know that own health, health food stores and vitamin shops and stuff, they have consumers and clients that are interested in this, but not specifically I have a mold issue or there's a water damage. This whole integration into their lifestyle. How do we keep the home cleaner? What about this? Should we get this air cleaner? What about these filters? I had someone the other day ask me about UV lights. But the consumer's more aware, and you brought up before, maybe part of it is a result from what we went through with COVID.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, I've got a couple texts about the chapters, and I want to read the one. Can you speak to the chapters and what communications you've had with their officers?
We have, we've been in contact with all of our membership, and chapters included. We've had some very deep conversations with some of the chapters, more than the others, I will be honest. But we hope to focus on that going forward.
Okay, and Sarah, have you been able to? I know you've got to be like, you've got so much going on, trying to put a conference on and so on. But what have you talked to any of the local chapters?
I've spoken with some of the local chapters, the leaders that I know. I haven't been doing much of the outreach to chapters. Lisa's been spearheading that mostly. I've been focusing on getting this conference together and some other things in the background. So I'm sure our focus is going to shift to chapters as soon as we have the annual meeting well in hand.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, and I saw Bruce's text there, and we've just been ingrained in trying to get information to be able to bring with the contact, so we actually have the plan moving forward. So obviously we've been busy with this part of it, but yes, we talked about it this morning, to get our chapter task force back together and get that moving forward, because that is an important part of what we want to do moving forward.
All right, I think what we'll do is we're going to break for halftime. I got a pretty long text here in the chat, and I definitely want to get to that when we get back. I think it's a great question. Let's go to halftime and thank our sponsors. We'll be right back with the IAQA board and executive director. association sponsors are AIHA, the American Industrial Hygiene Association at AIHA.org. IICRC, the Institute for Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration Certification at IICRC.org. The Restoration Industry Association, RIA, at restorationindustry.org. The Environmental Information Association, EIA, at EIA-USA.org. IAQ Radio industry sponsors are Particles Plus at particlesplus.com. BioPlanet at byoplanet.com. All right, we'll put that. We'll put the longer version in later, but I want to go to this chat. It says that gotta scroll down a little bit. IAQA roots were training and the development of and accrediting of courses and trainers. Actually, I did some of that training. Some or all of the original board were actual training providers of those courses. And of course, the continuing ed for the certifications for those courses. The chapters were the primary promotion for the CEs. In fact, most of them would have an annual meeting, but were in fact a place to get your continuing education. That changed at least 2, maybe 3 times. We got the AMIAQ, the ACAC, IESO, etc. So the bottom line is, what is the future with certification courses, continuing education for the 2024 edition of IAQA? Anybody want to? Oh, we got to unmute them.
All right.
Go ahead, Lisa.
So I actually agree with you, Scott, that our roots are in training and education. That was a very fundamental foundation of the when IAQA was established in 1995, and it is going forward. But we need to get our data back and look at what those programs that we can offer and how we will be able to offer them. So it's hard to really commit to something like that at the moment, other than education will be a very important part of the association going forward.
If I may, things change, times change. Okay. And with RIA, it was education for 50 years. Okay. And then it wasn't. Okay, because other organizations kind of took chunks of that market, and it was less viable. So, what they did is they kind of switched to advocating. They became the advocates for the industry, lobbying, and that sort of thing. So sometimes I think you need a new set of clothes, and one door closes, another door opens. So, I think in the future you'll have different opportunities, and you'll segue into those. But it's just the markets change.
Yeah, absolutely. And the needs of an association changes too. We did move to a advocacy kind of program for a few years. And just in the last 2 or 3 years, we've been trying to bring that education back in-house because we feel like we can deliver the product in the way that the association needs. So that's where we kind of are. But it's the education platform is going to be there. It's just going to take some time.
Understood. Yeah, none of this is easy. It's voluntary.
No, it's not. And if I could add, Joe, you asked about the chapters. So they're going to be very integral to revamping the education and getting them out more or less grassroots instead of everything being from the top. We want these chapters out there. I'd love to see them, if it works, to really be out there doing a lot of the training through the chapters. And with technology today, maybe a chapter on the West Coast can link in through Zoom and things like that to a training going on with a chapter, somewhere else in the country. So we really want to get it down and get it more out to the membership that, you don't have to fly in somewhere or drive 4 or 5 hours, maybe whatever, get it out to the local level. All right. And let these chapters get involved with the training. And I think that's, going to be at least one way of disseminating the education.
I've got one more text before I want to get to the conference, and then I've got a text on the conference. Will IAQA adopt standards from other nonprofit organizations focused on lung and heart health and help share and distribute indoor air quality standards for people with chronic respiratory, heart disease, and allergens? I understand that's kind of specific, but are you looking at maybe working more with, the allergy and asthma foundations, or the national lung, groups that already are dealing with this to some degree, and help get their information out? There's already a lot of great information out there. You could be like the collection point for it.
Absolutely. We're always open to working with other organizations, but I'll be honest that right now our big focus is working on our organization and getting our foundation rebuilt, working with our membership to build in the programs that they need, and and then working on the education and the communication with the rest of the community. But we certainly would entreat any association that would like to work with us and feels it has a common ground with us to get in touch with either Sarah or myself, and we can revisit what we can do. But right now our focus is on the organization.
All right, let's go to Sarah, bless you. You took on this conference thing with not a whole lot of time to turn it around. You're going to be at Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort March 24th through the 26th. I don't know when the original conference was scheduled for. I assume similar time frame.
Next week.
Oh, next
It was
week.
scheduled
Okay.
for next week originally.
You mean you couldn't pull that off? Come on, Sarah.
I didn't want to pull that off. We found a beautiful property in the Sawgrass Marriott, and they have gone out of their way to make this work. And I can't tell you how impressed I am with the facility. In fact, my background today is a picture of the main conference hallway at Sawgrass, because it was beautiful, up to date. I think it's a facility that our members are really going to appreciate. The proximity to world-class golf for the golfers in the group. They have the opportunity to golf at the TPC golf course. We're close to some beautiful cities. It's about a half-hour drive to St. Augustine. So there's a lot to do in the area, but of course we're offering sort of a compact conference this year. It's going to be a conference that is a little different from what we've done in the past, both by necessity and by choice. So it's going to be a more intimate conference, and it's going to be as much about listening to our members as it is about education and what we're offering. So everybody who comes to the conference is going to have a chance to give their input to the board and the management of IAQA on the direction that they want to see their association take for the future. And that is true for members and for our industry partners and our sponsors and our exhibitors. So,
all right, I see we've got Rick Stonier on here. He's with Gray Wolf Sensing Solutions. Hello, Gray Wolf. Great to see you. Longtime supporter of both IAQ Radio and a longtime supporter and exhibitor at the IAQA conference. How about if you could give exhibitors, why should they sign up for the conference, Sarah?
Well, that was one of the reasons I just gave you, is we very much value our relationships with our exhibitor partners. And I know Gray Wolf has been a terrific supporter of IAQA for years, and we want their input into what they want to see IAQ grow into as well. They're not going to have that opportunity at just any meeting, but at this very intimate annual meeting, they're going to have that chance for that kind of input. And they're going to have a chance to reach the core membership of IAQA who are devoted and come to this meeting on such short notice.
Well, how's it really going so far? I mean, are you getting exhibitors signed up? Are you going to have exhibitors? I mean, I assume you are, but I want to make sure.
Yes. So that's a timely question. We're putting the final ink to the exhibitor prospectus. It should be out any moment now. That's what I was doing just before we got on to this call, in fact. So we are going to have space for only about 30 booths. So it's a lot smaller and again, more intimate than what we normally have. So if everybody who was there last year wants to come this year, we're not going to be able to accommodate them.
How many were there last year?
I think we had about 53 last year.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Great. Great. Lisa, do you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you. I was just going to say is that our exhibitors are an essential part of our conference as well. I think a lot of the membership comes to the conference just for just to see the exhibitors, interact with them, to see the new products. I feel like we really do want to engage with our exhibitors in a way perhaps we haven't in the past. As Sarah mentioned, I think their feedback is going to be important. We realize we regret with everything that we had to switch gears on where our conference is going to be, but I will tell you with no hesitation that the original location was not appropriate for our membership or for our exhibitors. I think that would have been a very big mistake, and trying to switch, as you can imagine, within a very short time frame, and what Sarah and her team has pulled off is unbelievable. It's not even been like 4 weeks since we were able to secure this location. This is one of the PGA golf courses. It is absolutely gorgeous up there. It's, I think everyone will have a good time, and we are building in some really important meetings and conversations. So
can somebody tell us, or do you have any speakers lined up? Do you have a keynote? How are we looking there, Sarah?
We have several speakers lined up. We're not going to have a traditional keynote as we have in the past because we've got so much else that we want to get done. We want to focus on core education and on communicating with our members. So we're going to have, of course, our annual meeting and town hall. We're also going to have some of our traditional speakers. I know we have John Lapetier. We have Carl Grimes coming back to do his pre-conference workshop that he did last year. I attended it last year. It was amazing. And we have Todd Usher coming to talk about building science. We have a host of other speakers whose names aren't coming to me right now, but we'll have that program together and out in the next couple of weeks.
I tell you what, Todd Usher alone is worth going to see. I've done a lot with Todd over the years. He's a fantastic builder, but he's also a PhD at Clemson, and he's focused on building science, and he is very, very interested in and does a lot with his homes that is related to indoor air quality. Everything he does is based on building science and indoor air quality. So if you get a chance to see Todd speak, I highly recommend it. He's excellent speaker. All right, Cliff, I want to make sure you get a chance to jump in if you have anything.
Not really so much a question, but perhaps a suggestion. And my view from 30,000 feet is this educational thing that people want. I have a different twist on it. And if you look at all the people that are in your chapter, and I think one of the things that they need to do is that they need business, they need better relationships with people, they need new relationships with people. It would seem to me that if you created some basic information on indoor air quality and how to improve indoor air quality, your members could deliver this to grassroots groups in their areas, churches, Rotary clubs, real estate companies, so on and so forth. And I think what happens is that they're going to create membership. They're going to create relationships. It's a whole lot easier probably to create that type of product than it is to try to, because you're the first and only people that are really doing that, rather than trying to build some sort of certification program from the ground up, which takes a whole lot of time. And so on and so forth. So I think something like that might be of interest,
That's a great idea.
to your people.
Let's before we go to the roundup, I wanted to give Sarah a chance. Who else has been helping you? It's always great to thank people. I don't know if you have any staff yet, but volunteers. Who's been helping you with setting up the conference?
Well, of course, we have our conference committee, and our co-chairs of the conference committee, Stanley Yaskulski and Martin Schwann, have been doing a lot of work. Members of the board have done a lot of work to assist with the conference. I know Jay Stake has looked into a lot of issues for me. If I throw an issue to Jay to work on, he's back to me in no time. I do have one part-time assistant currently. My assistant's name is Donna Lawrence, and she has been invaluable in getting some of this work done in such a quick turnaround. So she was somebody who volunteered to help at first, and then we were able to bring her on part-time.
Okay, let's go to the roundup. All right, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that most of you are joining us from the winter break. Pete Consigli, the Restoration Global Watchdogs winter break in Southwest Florida. Pete, come on in.
Yeah. So I'm just hanging out with Cliff. Was on the iPad listening most. I was in and out. Yeah, because I had to manage the lunch and all that. Need them well moisture them up, So listen, I'm so happy, So I told Lisa and Jeremy and all the leadership that, you, Cliff, me, we're all Hall of Fame with the IAQA. And so I feel we had like an obligation to try to help them, wherever we're going to go. So, I appreciate all the leadership they've done. I saw that Jay and Greg, a bunch of guys are on the call, which is great. Sarah, good luck with all the new stuff. If you ever need anything, you can call the Z-Man Radio Joe for the Global Watchdog. But no help though if it has anything to do with the Indians or the Browns, because we have other rooting interests. Other than that, that's okay. I'm a 49er fan, so I don't tell you who I'm rooting for the Super Bowl. The one thing, and Lisa, we were talking about this earlier, it kind of resonated with me. I'm trying to remember what the heck it was. I should have wrote it down. And Cliff was talking about the associations, how they go through a lot of, reincarnations over the years. REA, all the associations do. You just keep in mind to remember why people come to associations in the first place. And this comes from our friend Steve Miller back in the 90s and Chuck Rumberger when he did some presentation. People come to associations to associate, to do together what you can't do alone. That's the purpose. And the two main functions, in my opinion, is education is number one, which we talked about, because that's what gets people to come. If you have good content and good speakers who know what they're talking about, people will come. And then that lends to the networking, which allows them to make friends and build their businesses and create lifelong relationships under the associations. So, this going through these changes, all the associations have done it over the years. And some, I remember Ellen Amerkin, who was a friend of ours. She was the president of ASCR before we rebranded in 1995. And I remember her presidential speech. She's one of the leading authorities in the world in Oriental rugs. She could tell you what village, where it was, who made it, the family. So she was the president one year. And she's got the Texas twang. She's from Dallas, and she's a woman not to be messed with, by the way. And what happened is she got up there and she started, and she said she learned in life from an old gypsy woman that she grew up with. And she said, Ellen, she says, sometimes you have the good days and other times you have the bad days. It's just life the way it is. But when she said it with her little Texas tang and stuff like that, had us all kind of cracking up. And that's where we are. When I'm listening to you, certainly to Jeremy, Eric, and Lisa, I'm thinking that's it. And we've experienced, the ups and downs and the peaks and the valleys through the 50 years that, Cliff and me, beside Marty King, Cliff, me, with the 3 honorary members, the lifetime members, that's something which is the equivalent of the Hall of Fame, because that's, a very prestigious thing. It's like being an ASHRAE fellow. And what's the equivalent in AIHA? Do they have anything like that?
So,
Yeah, they have
Fellows.
fellows
I
too.
think I'd rather be a good fellow than a
Yeah, right. You know,
me both.
but anyway, so you know, I wish them all the best of luck. If there's anything that we can do, you know, we have a lot of the leadership. So Andy Ask is here at the event. John Lapatere. I was trying to get Don Weeks. Wanted you to come down and go visit your buddy Andy in Cape Coral, Don. Then we could have had like a past presidents, you know, little party here of all the IEQA people. And anyway, so you know, just like I said, good luck. We'll be here to help in any way that we can. And I don't know whether I'll be able to come up to Jacksonville. I'm not sure where it's at, but that's a nice resort and area where you're coming. And Jay, you were going to come to the winter break, but I know you're busy. There's a lot going on. But I will tell you, Mr. Jay, even though you're not physically here, you're here in spirit. You're always here in spirit. And he handled the IAQA when he had that suit with the IAQA with Brendan Kemp, and he came to the winter break. I mean, they're still talking about that. They're talking about a commitment. You know, the only greater commitment than that is the Hells Angels, where they put somebody's company logo on their body forever. Right. So anyway, so I'll have to Cliff and around the horn. Last word, Joe, and you're doing it a week. We're going to have the highlight show with all the talking points from winter break. Cliff has the whole week to do it. We're going to call in. I think Isaacson, Cliff, me, and I'll be with Ashley, actually Jacksonville, in a visit. That means he has to the following Wednesday to get the blog out. He's got 10 days because he's got to get the IEQA blog out now. Then we move to the winter break. And anyway, there you go.
Next Friday at noon. Thank you, Pete. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. I got another text. I think this is a good point. I was trying to word this myself, and Scott did it for me. This industry, environmental health, has a huge amount of conflicting information. You pick a topic and you'll find some alternative medicine or some product promotion, marketing, bad science and no science. How can IAQA distinguish themselves in this miasma of information overload?
Well, I think that we differentiate ourselves just by picking topics and picking the appropriate information and presenting it in a way that's science-based, but also is in terms that laymen and the public can understand. I think we do it with the authority and with the membership, which is pretty auspicious in IAQA. We have some of the best, our Hall of Famers, obviously, but we have a lot of people here who can put that information out, and we will be, sending out, we have often in the past couple of years, we have articles, journals and magazines and the media come to us for responses on different issues that are indoor air quality. And so we just have to stay true to ourselves and stay true to the good science.
And if I can add to that too, again, this gives us the opportunity of rebranding and reorganizing. Is that, again, membership can help us with this. Join the committees, make this stuff happen. Again, we're doing what we can at the moment, but we're going to get through this and we're going to be free flowing again. And we'll be able to start these types of initiatives, but it starts with membership as well. Joining these committees and getting your voice heard.
And who's ever coming to the conference, when we have our roundtables, our open discussion, this is very important. We want to hear from you there. This is extremely important. We need your feedback, your input.
Yes.
There's some great comments coming in, and we'll capture those. Cliff, go ahead.
No, what I wanted to say is, I don't disagree with Scott. There is a lot of conflicting information, but there's indisputable information as well. And, I think maybe you look at the healthy homes people in Kansas City, those 8 things, keep it dry and, keep it pest free and ventilate.
Dr. Minor.
Pardon me?
Dr. Minor, what he said.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there's things that are undisputable, and I think that it's a perfect opportunity because a lot of people haven't heard that, and you can be the messengers to deliver it. A simple little brochure, you give it to them. I think it'll help you. I think it'll help. The nice thing is it helps the consumers that get the information because they didn't have it. It helps you guys as presenters. It helps everybody.
Yes,
it's a positive
agreed.
thing. Yeah.
Great.
All right, let's go around the horn real quick. You can either make a final comment on IAQA or tell us something you picked up here while you're at the winter break. Let's start with Lisa.
Well, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to Joe and Cliff. I mean, this is wonderful. I want to say to our membership and those who aren't our members, IAQA is coming back. We are back. We are going to be strong, and we want you to be part of the team to rebuild the organization. Come to our conference. I think it's going to be a great event.
You know, the conference sounds like it's a reunion of sorts, and I think that'll help bring a lot of people in.
It is.
Let's go to Jeremy. Jeremy, final thoughts?
Yes, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Lisa said, so I'm going to switch it to winter break we're at now, where the theme really was competence in the industries, and conversations, even from the presentations that have been had to conversations throughout the evening last night is, you know, we see this, there is a lack of competence by professionals, whether you're a restoration contractor, consultant, whatever it may be, and we just need to figure out a way, has different associations, organizations, is to try to figure out ways for accountability and to, you know, talk about this science that is disputable, and things like that. So, but that's, you know, that's been the theme of this conference, and it's been stated very well and from a variety of different ways.
Jeremy, you kind of jogged my memory here on a text or a chat I saw a little earlier, and I think it's an important point. Who will be the point person now for working with other organizations? Like not long ago, AIHA and IAQA put out a indoor environmentalist, kind of like, you know, what an indoor environmentalist should know and be able to do. Who's going to be the point person? So we've got other organizations that listen and keep track of what we're doing here at IAQ Radio. Who should they talk to?
Yeah, I mean, right, we do have our allied industry partners. Again, that's something we need to pick back up with. Jay has been the liaison for that.
Jay Stake
moving forward. But yeah, and we've had opportunities and have joined with various organizations and whatnot over the last couple of years. And, you know, I think it's bring it to the board, bring it to Sarah. And then at least from the AIP is with Jay Stake as being our liaison for now. We keep moving forward with that.
And if anybody needs to know how to get a hold of Jay, just text me or send me a message at joe.hughes@iaqtraining.com. We'll definitely get you in touch with him. And Eric, let's get your final thoughts either on IAQA or the winter break.
Joe, I'll speak as being the treasurer. Everybody's heard the old adage, no pain, no gain. If you were privy and everybody saw what we had to deal with in the past, believe me, where we are right now is a gain. The future looks good. I'm not, pulling any punches. There's a little pain, but through that you grow, and I'm very, very optimistic, especially with the board. I want all people listening, membership, to know you've got some good people at the helm here, and we're going in the right direction.
While we're at it, who else is on the board currently?
Okay, so in addition, we have Stanley, and I never say his name right.
Yaskowski.
Yaskowski. Thank you. Yes, I always put too many letters in there. Martin Schwan, Luke van Oldenburg. Let's see, Dave Luce, Dennis French, Evie Sims from Australia. Doug Conan and Greg Long. Is that we have
missing anybody?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right, and let me finish with you, Sarah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we have 12 members on the board. 12
members. All right, and Sarah, I want to finish with you. We've introduced you now to the audience. They know who you are. We've known who you are for a while. What are your final thoughts on IAQA?
Well, I have never had the privilege of being involved in an organization at such a pivotal and exciting time. And it has been, it's been fantastic. And I'm really excited about the future of IAQA and where we're going and where I'm gonna be able to help bring it. So I don't see any downside. I think we're making great progress, and we're gonna be so much further along in just a very short period of time.
And what's your email for people that want to contact you?
They can contact me at Sarah Fanger at iaqa.org. That's SARAHFANGER at iaqa.org.
Fantastic. I want to thank all of you for joining us here this week. Cliff, any final thoughts or questions?
No, Joe, thanks.
Very good. You all get back to the winter break there. Enjoy yourselves. And I look forward to seeing all of you soon. This is Radio Joe Hughes saying thanks to this week's guests. We had Lisa Rogers, Jeremy Beagle, Eric Shapiro, and Sarah Fanger. I also want to thank my co-host, the Z-Man, Cliff Zlotnick, Grayson Gone Fish and Fisher at the controls, and the restoration industry's global watchdog, Pete Consigli. Most importantly, our sponsors and our loyal audience. We'll be back next Friday. As Pete mentioned, we're going to do a roundup of the 2024 winter break and talk to the moisture mob and really get some solid science on moisture monitoring and moisture-related issues. So we look forward to seeing you all back here next Friday at noon with the next episode of IAQ Radio Plus.
For IAQ Radio, I'm Spike Reel saying thanks for listening.
Take care, everybody.